Imagine this. Someone betrays you. Your boss humiliates you in front of everyone. You lose money. Someone you love walks away. And you feel nothing but calm. Not because you're broken, but because you've mastered something ancient, something powerful, something that makes you untouchable. Stay with me for the next 15 minutes, because I'm about to share 10 Stoic principles that will change how you experience life forever. Introduction. Let's be honest. Life is brutal sometimes. People disappoint you. Plans fall apart. The world feels chaotic and out of control. And most of us? We react. We panic. We stress. We lose sleep over things we can't change. We let other people's opinions, bad luck, and circumstances break us. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to be this way. Over 2,000 years ago, a group of philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, Seneca, a wealthy advisor, and Epictetus, a former slave, discovered something profound. They discovered that external events don't control you. Your reaction to them does. And they created a philosophy called Stoicism. Now, I know what you're thinking. Philosophy? That sounds boring. But Stoicism isn't about sitting in a room thinking abstract thoughts. It's about practical power. It's about building a mind so strong that nothing, and I mean nothing, can shake you. By the end of this video, you'll have 10 tools, principles that will make you emotionally bulletproof. You'll walk differently, think differently, feel differently. But here's the deal. You have to stay until the end, because these principles build on each other. Miss one, and you'll miss the transformation. So let's dive in. Pain point. Need. Why do you need this right now? Because the world is designed to destabilize you. Social media makes you compare yourself to others. The news fills you with fear. Your job demands perfection. Relationships require vulnerability, but often deliver pain. You're constantly reacting, constantly defending, constantly trying to control things that are uncontrollable. And it's exhausting. You feel anxious, overwhelmed, like you're one bad day away from falling apart. Sound familiar? Here's what the Stoics understood. Suffering comes from wanting things to be different than they are. You suffer because you think your boss shouldn't be unfair. You think your partner shouldn't have said that. You think the world shouldn't work this way. But it does. And until you accept that, until you stop fighting reality, you'll never be free. Stoicism doesn't promise you an easy life. It promises you an unshakable one. Let's build that foundation. Starting now. Principle 1. Control the controllable. 3:30. 5 o'clock. The first principle is the foundation of everything. You must separate what you can control from what you can't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about it. You can't control what people think of you, whether you get sick if the economy crashes, what your ex does, the weather, but you can control your effort, your attitude, your reactions, your choices, your focus. Most people waste 90% of their energy trying to control things they can't control, and then they feel powerless. The Stoic does the opposite. They focus only on what's in their control, and when they do that, they become unstoppable. Here's a story. Epictetus was born a slave. He was beaten, abused, and had no freedom. But he realized something. They could chain his body, but they couldn't chain his mind. So he focused on his thoughts, his philosophy, his inner world. And eventually, he became one of the most influential philosophers in history. He couldn't control being a slave, but he could control his response. Your turn. Stop trying to control your boss, your partner, the traffic, the government. Start controlling you. That's where your power is. Principle 2. Perception is everything. 5 o'clock, 6:45. Here's a mind-blowing truth. Nothing is inherently good or bad. Your perception makes it so. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Let me give you an example. Two people lose their jobs. One spirals into depression, thinking, I'm a failure, my life is over. The other thinks, this is a chance to start fresh. Maybe I'll finally pursue that dream. Same event. Two completely different experiences. Why? Because the event itself has no meaning. You give it meaning with your thoughts. This is the ultimate freedom. Someone insults you? You can choose to see it as an attack or as a reflection of their pain, not yours. You fail at something? You can choose to see it as defeat or as a lesson. A real-life example, Admiral James Stockdale was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for 7 years. He was tortured repeatedly, and yet he survived, while many others didn't. Why? Because he practiced Stoicism. He controlled his perception. He told himself, this is happening. I can't stop it, but I can decide what it means. He didn't pretend it wasn't painful, but he didn't let it define him. Your turn. The next time something bad happens, pause. Ask yourself, what's another way to see this? You'll be shocked at how much power you have. Principle 3, memento mori. Now, let's talk about death. I know. Not exactly a cheerful topic. But stay with me, because this might be the most liberating principle of all. Memento mori means, remember you will die. The Stoics meditated on death daily. Not to be morbid, but to wake up. Because when you truly realize that your time is limited, that one day everything you're stressing about won't matter, you start living differently. You stop sweating the small stuff. You stop caring what people think. You stop wasting time on drama, gossip, and nonsense. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Here's a powerful exercise. Imagine it's your last day on Earth. You have 24 hours. What would you do? Who would you call? What would you say? Now ask yourself, why aren't you doing that today? Most people live like they have forever. So they procrastinate. They hold grudges. They stay in jobs they hate and relationships that drain them. The Stoic does the opposite. They live urgently, not recklessly, but with intention. A story. Steve Jobs said, remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. He wasn't being pessimistic. He was being awake. Your turn. Every morning, remind yourself, I might not see tomorrow. Not to feel sad, but to feel alive. Principle 4. Negative visualization. All right, here's a Stoic technique that sounds weird, but is incredibly powerful. It's called premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization. Here's how it works. You imagine in advance that the worst possible things happen. You lose your job. Your relationship ends. You get sick. You lose your money. Sounds depressing, right? But here's the magic. When you mentally rehearse worst-case scenarios, they lose their power over you. Seneca said, he who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. Think about it. Most of your anxiety comes from fear of what might happen. You're terrified of losing your job, so you walk on eggshells. You're terrified of rejection, so you don't take risks. But when you've already imagined the worst and realized you'd survive it, you become fearless. A real example. Before every mission, Navy SEALs mentally rehearse everything that could go wrong. Equipment failure. Ambush. Injury. Why? Because when it does happen, they don't panic. They've already been there in their minds. Your turn. Tonight, imagine losing something you're attached to. Your job, your relationship, your health. Then ask yourself, would I survive? Could I rebuild? The answer is almost always yes. And suddenly, you're not afraid anymore. Principle 5. The obstacle is the way. Now we get to one of the most transformative Stoic ideas. Every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Let me translate. The thing blocking you is actually the thing that will make you stronger. Think about it. You want to build muscle? You need resistance. You want to build resilience? You need challenges. The obstacle is the path. A powerful story. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When someone asked him how it felt to fail so many times, he said, "I didn't fail, I just found 10,000 ways that didn't work." He turned every obstacle into data, into learning, into fuel. Another example, Oprah was fired from her first TV job. They told her she was unfit for television. She could have quit. Instead, she used that rejection as motivation, and she became one of the most influential people on the planet. Your turn. The next time you face a setback, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How is this making me better? Because it is. You just have to look for it. Principle 6. Voluntary discomfort. There's a Stoic practice that sounds crazy, but will make you tougher than you ever imagined. Voluntary discomfort. The Stoics deliberately made themselves uncomfortable. Seneca took cold baths. Marcus Aurelius slept on the floor. Epictetus fasted regularly. Why? Because comfort makes you weak. When you avoid discomfort, you become fragile. And when life inevitably gets hard, you break. But when you choose discomfort, when you expose yourself to cold, hunger, physical challenge, you build resilience. You prove to yourself, I can handle this. I'm stronger than I think. A modern example. David Goggins, former Navy SEAL and ultramarathon runner, says, "We live in an external world. Everything is, you can do it, you're perfect the way you are. But I say, no, you're not. Get up and go suffer." He runs 100-mile races. He works out for hours. He deliberately seeks pain. Why? Because it makes everything else easy. Your turn. This week, do something uncomfortable. Take a cold shower. Skip a meal. Wake up at 5 a.m. Work out until it burns. You'll feel powerful, because you'll realize, if I can do this, I can do anything. Principle 7. Focus on process, not outcome. 1245, 1350. Here's where most people go wrong. They obsess over results. They want the promotion, the relationship, the money, the body, and when they don't get it, they feel like failures. But the Stoics knew, you don't control outcomes. You only control effort. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do your job and don't worry about the rest." In other words, focus on the process, not the result. You can't control whether you get the job, but you can control how well you prepare for the interview. You can't control whether someone loves you, but you can control how authentically you show up. A story. Kobe Bryant didn't focus on winning championships. He focused on perfecting his shot, on practicing longer than everyone else, on mastering the fundamentals. And because he focused on the process, the results followed. Your turn. Stop asking, will this work? Start asking, am I doing my best? If the answer is yes, you've already won. Principle 8. Practice dichotomy of control. 1350, 1430. This principle ties everything together. Divide everything into two categories. What's up to you and what's not. Epictetus said, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." Here's the list. Up to you. Your choices, your beliefs, your effort, your discipline, not up to you. Other people's opinions, the past, the future. Other people's behavior. Simple, right? But here's what most people do. They stress about things in the second category, and they neglect things in the first. Your turn. Write down what you're worried about, then cross out everything you can't control. Now focus only on what remains. Conclusion. Let me leave you with this. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world. He could have lived in luxury, indulgence, and ease. But every night, he wrote in his journal. He reminded himself of these principles. He practiced Stoicism daily. Why? Because he knew power without discipline is chaos, and life without philosophy is suffering. You now have the same tools that emperors, warriors, and philosophers used to master their lives. The question is, will you use them? If this video changed how you see yourself, even just a little, do me a favor, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with more people who need it. Subscribe and turn on notifications because I'm dropping more life-changing content like this every week. And comment below, which principle hit you the hardest? Was it memento mori? The obstacle is the way? Let me know. Because we're building a community of people who refuse to be broken by life. Welcome to the Stoic path. Now go and become untouchable.